Hey, hello everybody. It's Rajith here. Happy to be with you again today. I'm sorry it's been such a long time. It's been 19 days since the portal opened of fifth dimensional frequency on April 24th and April 25th, depending on the time zone that you are in. Um, and so it's been 19 days. Today's May 13th since I've done a video, and I apologize, but it was a challenging 19 days. So the blessing is that we are in the fifth dimensional portal. Those of us who are 65% and more of our crystalline body built. And so let's talk a little bit about what happened to those of us who are in this crystal portal and what happened to our bodies, our psyches, our sense of well being or discomfort, so that we can kind of give each one of you a heads up as to what will happen for you when you move in to this particular place. So here we go. Uh, I was in contact with about 9 other people on a regular basis during this time. We were all sharing our physical experiences of what this was like and our mental, emotional, and spiritual experiences. So here we go. On an emotional level and a mental level, I found even a few days prior to the grid opening that I had a sense of well being, an excitement, a desire for the future that I haven't had before, an elation, kind of a joy that was just bubbling up from the inside out, without anything really changing in my outer world except for what was going on in my inner world. So I thought that was astounding. Then, when we actually moved into the portal on the mental and emotional level and spiritual levels, there was this sense of feeling like, oh my gosh, all these years, everything I've worked for, I'm finally here. This is what I've worked for. And there was such a delight inside of me. I felt like a little kid. Um, and it felt so phenomenally hopeful. Also, a greater sense of inner peace, a contentment. That was kind of the resounding theme with all 9 of us, is that there was a sense of hopefulness and contentment. Um, One of the other people said it very, really beautifully. She said, I feel unafraid and without worry. And I felt that too. And she said, I felt taken care of. And that's the part that was a good link for me, was when I knew that no matter what happened in the outer world around us, what was going on with those of us who were moving into fifth dimensional frequency is that we were and are being taken care of in ways that I don't think we can even totally know and understand at this point. I find it very exciting. I think you will too. And I hope you will be joining the train of fifth dimensional frequency folks to help bring love and light to this planet and bring more of our brothers and sisters on board. And I think that those of us who are light workers, those of us who are star seeds, those of us who have joined this bandwagon 4,000 years ago, 3,000 years, 2,000, 1,000, 500, 200 years ago, whenever we've decided to be part of this journey, it's very, very exciting. So, uh, that sense of peacefulness also entered my meditations. I was less fidgety. I was able to focus more. And I will say that I had a few days that were a little bit rough. I had some emotional things to deal with. So then, of course, the mind, like they talk about when you meditate, that you have to watch your mind, keeping your mind straight on focusing on your meditation. and then you wander off to the grocery store, or your laundry list, or whatever it is that you're doing. And I found I didn't have the grocery store and laundry list, but I had other things that I kept going over and go, nope, got to go back here and focus. And it was a little bit exhausting, a couple of days, because I had a battle with my mind. But most often it was a really pretty experience of joyfulness, and of like, I can do this. I can do this with grace. I can do this with ease. There's love all around me, running through me, holding me. And I hope to be able to share more of that with my family, with my friends, with my clients. Um, and, we're all human and we all make mistakes. And forgiving ourselves for those mistakes is really, really important. And just choosing to embrace the truth about ourselves, the truth about one another. So, learning to see yourself as a beautiful, loving, and amazing being with tons of possibility for change, hope, expression of greater self, harmony, all of that can be part of this incredible journey. So, on the emotional, mental, and spiritual levels, all was really moving in sync in the harmony chapter and aspect of what we're doing. Now, the physical body, woohoo, that was a trip. Okay, so I have to say that different people had different experiences. Some people felt a lot of kind of like pressure coming through their body. Other people had energy like waves going through, lots of vibration moving through their bodies, and especially the arms and the legs, from the hips down. People experienced a lot of vibration. I did too. But I tell you, I had some days where it felt like, I can liken this to, when people are breaking ground on construction sites, and they have those machines that pound the earth, and they go boom, 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 boom. I tell you, that's exactly what my body felt like. And um and it and it was intense, moving through. The other thing, when that is happening, because most of us are not yet totally cleared of our ancestral patterns that we have on both mother and father's side of the body, that need to leave us. We're in this new dimensional frequency. We're not going to be carrying that old material with us, the karmic material of our journey here, in 3D, and so that all of that has to go. Also, for those of you who believe you might have had past lives, um, clearing all of those up, making peace with all of that, doing your forgiveness work is so, so important. So, my next video is actually going to be on forgiveness. I will teach you how to do that. And so, forgiveness work, forgiving yourself for mistakes that you've made, um, forgiving yourself for not being able to forgive others, forgiving yourself for even being angry at God. Because sometimes, if we've had really, really rough lives, or parts of our life, if you only believe in this one, we sometimes can feel that we're abandoned and or betrayed by the divine or God. And so it's really important to acknowledge that pain and that suffering, and it's real, and have compassion for that part of you. The other thing was, along with forgiveness of self, is the forgiveness of others. When people have transgressed us, to learn how to forgive them, to learn how to see this from a place of, these are divine lessons for us, opportunities for growth. Sometimes it's really tough to forgive really horrendous things, but on some level, most of us have signed up for some parts of that. Sometimes we haven't signed up, and then we feel really like we're getting the raw end of a deal. And so all of that needs to be healed. Things that we witness politically, or in other countries where people are hurting each other, or in this country where racism has hurt so many people, both white and black. Um, the white people can end up feeling guilty, remorse, grief that either their brethren who are white are harming folks of color, folks who are disabled. So and if you've done that yourself, how do you forgive that, right? So all of those things are really, really important to do as we move into these higher frequencies, and we cannot take this energy of that's unresolved with us. So for those of us who are having these intense downloads coming down, even those of us who have done a lot of personal work on ourselves, forgiving others, forgiving ourselves, clearing our past lives, canceling condemnations, curses, whatever. Um, it's it it's a lot of work, and we have to clear the decks, clear the slate. So when that energy comes down, it's like the compression of the light moving through pushes out that which no longer serves us. So that was an intense experience. And a couple of times I had this kind of strange vision. It was pretty visual, actually, um, where I could sense that there were family ancestral patterns that were leaving on different days from either mother or father's side that I clearly have chosen to help up level and heal. And it almost looked like green goo coming out of my body. It was like, kind of like olivey green. It wasn't a beautiful green. It was just definitely something that needed to be let go of. And I was blessing it and thanking the divine for doing the clearing of my body so that I could carry more light, that I could carry more love, that I would have a capacity to forgive myself more and to be able to forgive others more. And in that journey, of course, we have to understand that each of us has a capacity to love, to forgive, to heal, to clear, to choose transformation in our own perfect timing, in our own way. And that certainly comes up when all of this new frequency of light moves through the body. Now, so physically, it was sometimes painful. Uh, Joints ache that you didn't realize could possibly ache. Parts of your body could feel sore. Uh, there was some levels of exhaustion. There were a few days where it was really, really challenging for me to get out of bed. Or if I did, I had to move slowly and do a lot of meditation to keep processing things out. Most of the time, I could sleep less. However, there were days when it was just impossible to sleep less. My body, so in this transition of energy, it requires a lot of energy, needed more rest. So I'm trying to listen to my body and figure out, how much rest do I need? Usually it's about 7 hours, but occasionally it was like 9 or 10. And some days I would be told, don't get up, just use the bathroom, have a sip of water, lay back down, and we're going to work on you. And we're going to pull this stuff out of you. And I would be laying in bed on my back, and things would be just shaking out. And it was just kind of like a vibration, like literally coming from the top all the way, moving out through my fingers, through my toes. I could feel it through the bottom of, the base of my hand here, and then also through the bottom of my feet. So I think it's important to share with you the kind of physical things that happen to us as these changes take place. The wonderful thing was that when I would meditate, I would like kind of have like an internal light show going on. There was more energy, moving through. And as I said before, meditation was a bit easier because there was more light, and it felt almost like there were times when I was meditating that I'd be meditating and I realized I'd have a smile on my face because there was so much joy and so much delight and so much gratitude for being in this wonderful new place. So that was really, really, really exciting. There were some times that I did cry when things were leaving because I could feel the sadness and the grief and or torment that my ancestors may have felt. A couple of times there were a couple of past lives for me that were pretty brutal, that had to leave, and that I had to just love and bless and forgive everyone and just allow it to flow through. And knowing that as I did, and I did the forgiveness and I did the embracing of what was moving, I was able to hold more light. I was able to hold more love, and I could be at greater peace. So that was really pretty phenomenal experience for me. Also, the other thing that was on the physical level that was interesting, there would be some days I would just be like so hungry, and usually just hungry for vegetables, hungry for fresh fruit and vegetables and some protein. And I'd be surprised. And then other days there would be like almost no appetite. And they are telling me that as we move into this crystalline grid more and more and more, our appetite is shifting. And the shifting will be that we will require less food rather than more food. We are going to be able to transform or transmute the energy of light outside as fuel into our body part way. So we'll be able to have less need for physical food. So at this point, what they told me is that I can transform light into fuel for my body at 30%. So in the last 4 or 5 days, I've eaten quite a bit less. Um, I did have one day where I had, I've been trying to avoid sugar, and I ended up eating, because I got stressed over something, bad choice. I ended up, I don't know how many peanut butter cookies I ate. It was probably 4 or 5. And they were not small. And I'm like, oh, this is not in place of dinner. This is not in place of lunch. This is not good. But it ended up being in place of dinner or lunch because it was just like I couldn't eat anymore. So one of the things I did find that my body did best when I would remember to take my, which I was actually pretty good at, my horsetail tea and or horsetail capsules, which has lots of silica in it that helps to anchor more minerals in your body as you're making your crystal grid. It's very important. And then I also took some volcanic ash minerals, which I'll show pictures of in the next video. Um, lots of vegetables. Really, really enjoyed the vegetables a lot. Okay, so I'm trying to think of what else in this new grid that was exciting. I think that's pretty much it in terms of that. I do want to encourage all of you to find out where you are spiritually in terms of your dimensional frequency, because it does take being in 10th dimensional frequency before you can start building your crystal grid. So if you're not there yet, then it's really good to find out how you can get there. And one of the ways that you can do that, of course, is with your devotional practices, whatever that is, whatever religion or non-religion that you are. Things that when you get prayerful and you have lots of gratitude, you can sing hymns, you can do mantras, you can do specific meditations, specific prayers. Follow your heart. Do what opens your heart and brings you great joy. That is how you can help build this grid, and how you can open yourself up to 10th dimensional frequency. Also, the forgiveness work is essential, because the more forgiveness that you're able to do, the more light that comes into the body, the higher the frequency that you go, the more devotional time that you do in being grateful to your higher self, to the divine, whatever you want to call it, to source, for what you have, for who you are, for what's in your life. Those are all things that will add to that process. Then once you know that you're in 10th dimensional frequency, building your crystal body is very important. So how do you do that? You do that again with your devotional practices, whatever way that you do that, as well as a vegetarian diet. So this is very important to know. Those of you who are flesh eaters, you can build your crystalline grid after 10th dimensional frequency, but very slowly. It's kind of painstakingly slow, actually. It grows much faster if you move into a transition diet toward vegetarian. Um, you are allowed, as you move into the portal, you are allowed to have dairy products, but no eggs, no fish, and no flesh foods of any kind will be allowed in fifth dimensional frequency, because that frequency is about love, not about duality. It's not about harming life. It's doing as little harm as we possibly can in life. And so that requires us to be vegetarian. It is a requirement. I've gone in and asked over and over, and that is the answer that I get. So lots of vegetables, lots of fruit. Uh, get your protein from plant-based protein sources like legumes. By the way, the legumes are your beans, different beans, garbanzo beans, kidney beans, black beans, um, as well as lentils. Nuts and seeds are a great source of protein and healthy fats. If you can have access to avocados, those are amazing. Lots of vegetables and greens. Of course, grains are also good, like quinoa, millet, rice, oats, whole grain foods. You'll find what works for you the best. And some people will do less grains than others. And athletes will probably do a little bit more than people who are sedentary. Do what works for you. Oh, speaking of athletes, there is a wonderful new documentary out on Netflix, and it is called The Game Changer. And it's a wonderful documentary done with medical doctors, where they've done research, where athletes have done research on going from eating flesh foods to vegetarian and then vegan. Uh, their their blood work does amazing things. Their endurance level just goes off the charts. And one man, he's was able to lift, I think, was it 1,000 pounds or something, the highest amount of weight, and he was totally vegan for quite a few years. So I think when you can see those kinds of documentaries and let yourself know that you will survive without eating meat, but I know it's a big transition. So if you need help with that, find your local nutritionist, not regular nutritionist, but somebody who does holistic nutrition, naturopathic doctors, some chiropractors. Feel free to call me to know what foods will work best for you and which ones don't. There's lots of wonderful ways to get what you need. There are some analog um, meat substitutes. So there's tofu and tempeh, the new Beyond burgers. Those are awesome. Uh, I had a friend over the other day, and I got these beautiful whole grain buns, and we had like regular hamburgers, with pickles and relish and onion slices and tomato and lettuce. What else did we put on there? Anyway, yeah, well, but it was all vegan. Um, and it was fun because it was like eating a regular hamburger, like regular Americans do. Um, but there are pretend chicken things, pretend sausage. There's lots out there, as well as you don't need to do any of that and just use the pulses and grains and nuts and seeds. Over the years, I've made lentil loaves, millet nut loaves, um, tofu patties, millet patties, with nuts and seeds in them, black bean burgers, I used to make one of my favorites was the Italian burgers that were made out of um, can, cannellini beans, I think is what they're called, the white beans. And I would do Italian seasoning on them and just, and mash them together and make like little burger patties. I mean, there's a world of ideas out there. The internet is full of ideas, as well as you can just do things very simply. So it doesn't have to be complicated, but it can be if you want. You can go very gourmet or you can go super simple. Um, so yeah, just get creative with the journey. Just know that your grid will stop building if you're eating flesh foods at 50%. You won't be able to get into fifth dimensional frequency until you're at 65. And then so you have to give up whatever you're eating at that point if it's not vegetarian, and you are allowed to have milk products from cows and sheep and goats, and I don't know where you are in the world, but you know wherever you get milk, it's that's totally fine. Okay. I think that that's about it for today, and I want to thank you for tuning in. I would like to, of course, finish this video with, oh, Dad, just one thing. Remember, I said there's no duality in fifth dimensional frequency. The other thing is, we know that there are 3 light love languages that are in this dimensional frequency. So I just want to share a short story. My roommate and I were sitting at the breakfast nook, and she was recounting some things that she was going through, and she said something about herself being stupid. And I looked up at my guides, closed my eyes, and I said, "Oh, so in the love light language, is there a word for stupid?" And they said, "No." There are no words that criticize or demean or belittle, no put down words. So I said, well, then when people are not being smart or stupid, what do we say to them? Or what do you say to them? And they said that we would show them that there might be a better way to do something. Would they like to think about doing this, or this, without there being any negativity attached? Which is really wonderful, because I think in this third dimensional frequency where we have duality, I think it's a problem for all of us, even those of us who are really good about processing our emotions and working at healthy, positive communication. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We fall into that trap. And I'll be delighted when that is no longer an option. So that was, we had a good laugh about that, and it was kind of life affirming to know that that is not going to be something that's there. So truly learning how to love ourselves and appreciate ourselves and one another is going to be a very positive, strong element in this new frequency. And also in this new frequency, this is about everybody working together for the common good of all, while still joyfully being the unique expressions of who we are, and giving ourselves permission to do that. So when you move into the grid and you have these downloads, not only the light energy that moves through you, but the encoding of what you and I have agreed to come in and do, the energy that we chose to hold, the love and the work that we chose to do to share with others, to make the world a better place, is all going to be there. And some people, like myself, have pretty much one path that we've chosen for ourselves. Other people will have options of 2 or 3 different paths they can go on to when they get the downloads, to see what feels best or what feels most appropriate for themselves at that time in their lives, with their families or no families, whatever their situation is. So that's kind of exciting. So let's leave this on a positive note. Since moving into fifth dimensional frequency is a place of love for all of us, let me get quiet. And I think right now, I think I'd like to do a prayer of gratitude in the light love language. gratitude to the divine for this huge blessing of being able to work off our ancestral patterns that we've come in with. Sorry, I'm going to cry. Um, Being able to release our past lives, our pain and suffering. Uh, Gratitude for myself for having been able to help the few thousand people that God has sent to me to assist in their healing process in the last 35, 36 years has been just an amazing gift and an honor. Um, so, yeah, tears in my eyes. Anyway, so I'm very grateful. And so let's do a prayer of gratitude in the new language of love. Okay, so here it goes. So, for all of us, let's take a moment and just center ourselves, taking in a few deep breaths and just running it all the way down your body and all the way out your toes and your fingertips. Moving into a place of sweet centeredness, connecting your third eye, your spiritual eye, your consciousness, with your heart, with your throat, so that the mind, consciousness, the love in your heart can be spoken through the throat chakra and acknowledged. So here we go. Royal blue light, remembering that royal blue light, running it all around you. Give permission for it to be a few thousand feet, like a couple thousand feet around you. It's the consciousness of God or the Creator connected to the human soul and the body. Giving permission for that royal blue light to move all around you. Let it run through you, including your bones and the marrow of your bones. And so for today, let's bring the nurturing energy of like pink quartz light into our fields and into our physical bodies, allowing ourselves to be nurtured by our own higher selves and the energy of love from the divine that is already around us. Give permission for all of your guides and your angels to join in, holding you in love as you hold yourself and the world in love. Be grateful that you're awakening, and if you're awake, that you are awake. Be grateful that you have an opportunity to serve love and humanity and the divine that lives within all of us and in all of life. Undaio tokomo tokoai ata. Atata motokosoa motoai oto. Kaya no moto apasa oto no motoai o amanako o. Taye mano sopata ayamana. Kaya o tomaso ai toko amatayo moto u. Satayama takaya sa a. Keo mano ata sotoko motoko ai to amatakaya asayamana kaoi. Atata kopoto atameno asa kayama no toko ai. Oso manayama o atakai moto. And so it is. May love, light, grace, and mercy be in each of your lives. Blessings.